Hello students, how are you? Today we will start the chapter number 11, the human eye and the colorful world. In this chapter, first we discuss about the human eye. In the human eye, the parts of this human eye is first the cornea, second one iris, pupil, then after aqueous humor, crystalline lens, ciliary muscles, retina, optic nerves, vitreous humor. These are the parts of the human eye. Parts and function of human eye. The human eye is like a camera. Its lens forms an image on a light sensitive screen called the retina. Light enters the eye through a thin membrane called the cornea. Cornea forms the transparent bulge on the front surface of the eyeball. The eyeball is approximately spherical in shape with diameter of about 2.3 centimeter. Most of the refraction of light rays entering the eye occurs at the outer surface of the cornea. The crystalline lens merely provides the finer adjustment of focal length required to focus objects at different distance on the retina. Iris is a dark muscular diaphragm behind the cornea and it controls the size of the pupil. The pupil regulates and controls the amount of light entering the eye. The eye lens forms an inverted real image of the object on the retina. The eye lens is composed of fibrous jelly-like material. Its curvature can be modified to some extent by the ciliary muscles. The change in curvature can be thus change the focal length of the lens. The retina is delicate membrane having enormous number of light sensitive cells. The light sensitive cells get activated upon illumination and generate electric signals. These signals are sent to the brain via optic nerves. The brain intercepts these signals and finally processes the information for our perception. Now we discuss about the power of accommodation. The ability of the eye lens is adjust its focal length is called accommodation. The eye lens is composed of fibrous jelly-like materials and its curvature can be modified by the ciliary muscles. Hence, the focal length can be changed as per the requirement. When the muscles are relaxed, the lens becomes thin. The radius of curvature and hence the focal length increases. This enables us to see the distant object clearly. When we look at the objects closer to the ciliary muscles contract decreasing the radius of curvature and hence the focal length. This enables us to see the nearby objects clearly. The minimum distance at which objects can be seen most distinctly without strain is called least distance of distinct vision. It means LDDV. For our normal eyes, least distance of distinct vision is 25 centimeter. Now we discuss about the defects of vision and their correction. First we take the myopia. It is also known as short-sightedness or nearsightedness. Short-sightedness or nearsightedness. Myopia is also known as nearsightedness. A person with myopic eye can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see distant object distinctly. Such a person may clearly see up to a distance of few meters. In myopic eye, the image of distinct object is formed in front of the retina and not on retinal itself. This defect may arise due to excessive curvature of the eye lens, that is short focal length of the eye lens, or elongation of the eyeball. Myopia can be corrected by using concave lens of suitable power, that is focal length. So here we can be observed that is myopic eye is corrected with the concave lens. First one, the myopic eye. Then the second one is that is correction of myopia with a concave lens. Now next one is hypermetropia. It is long sightedness, or it is also known as far-sightedness. A person with hypermetropia can see distinct object clearly but cannot see nearby objects distinctly. Such a person may has to keep a reading material much beyond 25 cm from the eye for comfortable reading. In hypermetropia eye, the image of a nearby object is formed behind the retina and not on the retinal itself. This defect may arise due to long focal length of the eye lens or very small size of the eyeball. Hypermetropia can be corrected by using convex lens of suitable power or focal length. So this figure can be observed, that is near point of hypermetropic eye. Then next one is hypermetropic eye, and the third one, that is the correction of hypermetropic eye, correction with the convex lens. Third one is the presbyopia defective. The power of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with the aging. People can not be see nearby objects comfortably and distinctly without corrective eye glasses. This defect is called presbyopia. It arises due to gradual weakening of the ciliary muscles and diminishing flexibility of the eye lens. Sometimes a person may suffer from both myopia as well as hypermetropia. Such people require bifocal lenses which consist of both concave lens and convex lenses. The upper portion is concave for distinct vision and the lower portion is convex for near vision. So first figure we can be observed, that is image for the form directly on the retina, creating good close of vision. And next figure we can be observed the lens edges and stiffens. The images are formed behind the retina, causing blurry close of vision. Now we discuss about the refraction of light through the triangular prism. Here we should consider a triangular glass prism. It has two triangular bases, as we know that, and three rectangular lateral surfaces, and these surfaces are inclined to each other. The angle between its two lateral surfaces is called the angle of the prism. Here, that is refraction of light through the prism. Here, as we know that here the ray of light is entering from air to the glass at the first surface AB. The light ray on the refraction has bent towards the normal. At the second surface AC, The light ray has entered from glass to air, hence it has bent away from the normal. Now compare the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction at each refracting surface of the prism. The peculiar surface of the prism makes the emergent ray bend an angle of the direction of the incident ray, and this angle is called the angle of deviation, that is delta. In this case, angle D is angle of deviation. Okay, angle delta, it is known as angle of deviation, and mark the angle of deviation at the in this figure between, that is AC pair, that is in AC surfaces, that is delta, we can be observed. Now dispersion of white light through a prism. Here the prism has probably split the incident white light into a band of colors. Here we can be observe the colors that appears at the two ends of the color band. The various colors seen are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, as shown in figure, that is VIBGYOR. The band of color components of the light beam is called its spectrum. That is, the phenomena of spreading a ray of white light into constituent colors is called dispersion, and the band of colors from violet to red is called spectrum, that is VIBGYOR. Here we can be observed that the white light is dispersed into 7 colors component by the prism. Different colors of light bend through different angles with respect to the incident ray as they pass through a prism. The red light bends the least while the violet is the most. Thus the ray of each color emerge along different paths and thus become distinct. It is the band of distinct colors that we see in spectrum. Now recombination of spectrum of white light. Isaac Newton was the first to use a glass prism to obtain the spectrum of sunlight. He tried to split the colors of spectrum of white light further by using another similar prism. However, he could not get any more colors. He then placed a second identical prism in an inverted position with respect to the first prism, as shown in figure. This allowed all the colors of the spectrum to pass through the second prism. He found a beam of white light emerging from the other side of the second prism. This observation gave Newton the idea that the sunlight is made up of 7 colors. Any light that gives a spectrum similar to the sunlight is often referred to as white light. Now that is a rainbow. A rainbow is a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after rain shower. It is caused by the dispersion of sunlight by tiny water droplets present in the atmosphere. A rainbow is always formed in a direction opposite to that of the sun. The water droplets act like here small prism. They refract and disperse the incident sunlight and then reflect it internally and finally refract it again when it comes out of the raindrop. Due to dispersion of light and internal reflection, different colors reach the observer eye. You can also see the rainbow on a sunny day when you look at the sky through a waterfall or through a water fountain with sun behind you. Now, atmospheric refraction. Refraction of light by Earth atmosphere is called atmospheric refraction. Flickering of object above a fire, the apparent random wavering or flickering of the objects can be seen through a turbulent stream of hot air rising above a fire. The air just above the fire becomes hotter than the further up. The hotter air is lighter than the cooler air above it and has a refractive index slightly less than that of the cooler air. Since the physical conditions of the refracting medium, that is air medium, are not stationary, the apparent position of the object as seen through the hot air fluctuates. This wavering is therefore due to an effect of atmospheric refraction on a small scale in the local environment. Twinkling of the star. The twinkling of star is due to the atmospheric refraction of starlight. The atmospheric refraction occurs in a medium of gradually changing refractive index. Since the atmosphere bends starlight towards the normal, the apparent position of the star is slightly different from its actual position. The star appears slightly higher, that is above its actual position when viewed near the horizon. This apparent position is not stationary but keeps on changing slightly, since the physical conditions of the Earth atmosphere are not stationary. Since the stars are very distinct, they approximately point-sized source of the light. As the path of the ray of light coming from the star goes on varying slightly, the apparent position of the star fluctuates and the amount of light entering the eye flickers. The stars sometimes appear brighter and some other times fainter, which gives the twinkling effect. Now the question is, why planets do not twinkle? The planets are much closer to the Earth and are thus seen at extended sources, since it is the collection of large number of point-sized sources of light. The total variation in the amount of light entering into the eye from all the individual sources will average out to zero, thereby nullifying the twinkling effect. Advanced sunrise and delay sunset. The sun is visible to us about 2 minutes before the actual sunrise and about 2 minutes after the actual sunset because of atmospheric refraction. By actual sunrise, we mean the actual crossing of the horizon by the sun. The actual and apparent position of the sun with respect to the horizon. The time difference between actual sunset and the apparent sunset is about 2 minutes. The apparent flattening of the sun's disk at sunrise and sunset is also due to the same phenomenon. Now, scattering of light. The Earth atmosphere is heterogeneous mixture of minute particles. These particles include smoke, tiny water droplets, suspended particles of dust and molecules of air. When a beam of light strikes such a fine particles, the path of the beam becomes visible. The light reaches us after being reflected diffusely by these particles, and the phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particles gives rise to Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect can be seen when a fine beam of sunlight enters a smoke-filled room through a small hole. In this, scattering of light makes the particle visible. It can also be seen when sunlight passes through a canopy of dense forest. In this, tiny water droplets in the mist scatter light. The color of scattered light depends on the size of the scattering particles. It can also be seen when sunlight passes through a canopy of dense forest in the tiny water droplets in the mist scatter light. The color of the scatter light depends on the size of the scattering particles. Very fine particles scatter mainly blue light, while particles of larger size scatter light of longer wavelengths. If the size of scattering particle is large enough, then the scattered light may even appear white. Scattering of light. Here in this figure, we can be observed that is a strong source S of white light at the focus of converging lens L1. This lens provides a parallel beam of light. Now allow the light beam to pass through a transparent glass tank containing clear water. Now allow the beam of light to pass through a circular hole made in a cardboard. Obtain sharp image of the circular hole on the screen using second converging lens L2. Now dissolve about 200 gram of sodium thiosulfate, that is hypo, in about 2 liter of clean water taken in the tank. Now you have to add about 1 to 2 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid to the water. So we will find microscopic sulfur particles PPT in about 2 to 3 minutes. As the sulfur particle begin to form, we can observe the blue light from the 3 sides of the glass tank. This is due to scattering of short wavelengths by minute colloidal sulfur particles. Now you have to observe the color of the transmitted light from the 4 sides of the glass tank facing the circular hole. It is intersecting to observe at the first the orange red color and bright crimson red color in the screen. And this activity demonstrated in the scattering of light that helps you can understand the bluish color of the sky and reddish appearance of the sun at the sunrise or the sunset. So this picture we can be observed scattering of light by tiny water droplets in the mist. And this figure we can be observed scattering of light by smoke and colloidal particles. The light from the sun near the horizon passes through the thicker layer of the air and larger distance in the Earth's atmosphere before reaching our eyes. However, light from the sun overhead would travel relatively shorter distance. At noon, the sun appears white as only a little of the blue and violet colors are scattered. Near the horizon, most of the blue light and shorter wavelength are scattered away by the particles, and therefore the light that reaches our eye is of longer wavelength, and this gives rise to the reddish appearance of the sun. Here we can discuss about the Rayleigh effect, that is the molecule of atmosphere and the other particle that smaller than the longest wavelength of visible light are more effective in scattering of light of shorter wavelength, as we discussed previously here. Then the light of long wavelength. The amount of scattering of inversely proportional to the fourth power of the wavelength. It is known as the Rayleigh effect. Light from the sun near the horizon passes through thicker layers of air and greater distance in Earth's atmosphere than the light received when the sun is overhead. Correspondingly, the greater scattering of short wavelengths account for the reddish appearance of the sun at rising and at the setting. When we looking at the sky in a direction away from the sun, we receive scattering light in which shorter wavelength predominate, giving the sky its characteristic bluish color. Okay, here we all the discuss about all the points of chapter number 11. Okay, thank you.